A Giants podcast for Giants fans.
By Giants fans.
From the offseason through the wins and the losses. It's time to take one Giant step.
Welcome inside One Giant Step. It's One Giant Bear Giant game preview. We may even get a snow game, which we'll touch on in a little bit. He's Bryce Gelman. I'm Shaun Morash. And away we go for the 2-7 New York Football Giants facing the Chicago Bears this week. We're going to get into all the fun segments we do, the fantasy reality. We're going to make a game pick. Bryce Is Right comes your way a little bit later on. But look, it can't just simply be a game preview when it comes to the New York Football Giants. You always have to lead with, the BS surrounding the team. And what a week it has been following the Giants' pathetic loss at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers, and a loss that when Bryce and I did the recap episode, I alluded to the fact that I actually thought this was the worst loss for the franchise of this season, despite the fact that it was never really in doubt for the 49ers and it didn't feature 5 turnovers like the Saint game or a collapse like the Denver game, but for all the reasons that have since kind of materialized. So, Bryce, if you will, I'm going to give, let me just put it this way, to the One Giant Step listeners out there, to those that tweet us on a Sunday night, hey, where's the podcast? I'm looking for it. I come home late for a game. We get it out Monday morning. You're real ones. You're loyal. Some of you have been here from like day one with me and Paul Dottino into obviously what Bryce and I have developed here. Some of you have joined Bryce and I along the way after catching us on the WFAN YouTube page. And I sincerely appreciate you. Those of you that came up to me at the tailgate Sunday, hey, listen to One Giant Step. I think that's awesome. Because when Bryce and I stare at each other in a screen like this and we do a podcast, the truth is, when you do the podcast, you could be doing it for 2 people. You could be doing it for 200,000 people, and somewhere in between. And that is the nature of podcasting in America, in the world. Okay. And especially when you get the nuance. So it's nice to put faces to it and know. So I'm going to give you a little gift here at the podcast, beginning of the podcast. I'm going to recap some of the storylines this week, and I'm going to phrase it this way. You are going to get my, and I'm going to put this in quotes, educated opinions on what's going on inside the New York Giants. You got it? Wink, wink. You understand what I'm about to tell you? Now, you guys can take that and roll your eyes. Oh, what does Shaun Morash know? Shaun Morash knows more than you guys think he knows, okay? And unfortunately, in today's era of reporting, a lot of people, get stuff from sources, and then it's typical, hey, you can't run with this fully. You got to, and then you hear things a couple different ways. So what I'm going to give you is a couple things now that I've heard a couple different places that have led me to believe. Then you follow up and you read certain articles that have come out a la Paul Schwartz, and you understand what's going on. So where we are right now with the 2-7 Giants, Paul Schwartz put out a piece, I believe it was Tuesday morning in the Post, in which it was, split ticket, ironically enough, on Election Day. And it was the idea of don't assume that both Shane and Dable are a package deal. And we are very much well aware, unfortunately, of the declining health. That's the wrong word. The unfortunate health situation with Giants owner John Mara, who came out publicly and is battling cancer, and we were all sending our hopes and prayers. And that's, look, anybody that's had a loved one, a friend battling cancer, we know that uphill battle it could be and how much it wears on a family specifically, and the Giants are very much a family-run business. Some of you might argue for better or worse, but this is not about opinions; it's just about what's going on.
He's a human being.
He's a human being that we all care very much about. Even if you disagree with some of his football decisions, you know what I mean? This organization has given us a lot of joy along the way as well. Throw all of this in a blender right now, and at 2-7 with the New York Football Giants, my educated opinion is that it would take a lot over the last 9 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the hell is left in the season, for Joe Shane not to be the general manager of the New York Football Giants this offseason, in the 2026 season, and dare I say, even with an extension to come. You can yell and scream however you're listening to this right now, like, oh, what are you talking? No. I'm here to read the Paul Schwartz article and understand what's coming out of my mouth. The reasons why, I mean, Joe Shane is going to take a lot of credit for probably getting the franchise quarterback here, even though it should be noted, and this is my own anecdote and opinion, He did want to trade for Matthew Stafford and did want to trade up for Cam Ward. And we very much saw on tape how much Joe Schoen asked Brian Daboll and the coaching staff if they were convicted in Jackson Dart, to which they said, yeah. And then he said, let's roll the dice. That's out there. That's on video. But Joe Schoen is going to take credit for the Jackson Dart. And look, he still did his job in trading up, but that's going to be a major calling card. Malik Neighbors is here. Abdul Carter is here. There's a lot of misses that are going to be, we're going to wave off, right? Jalen Hyatt, Tay Banks, Evan Neal. We're just going to forget about those. And we're going to give Joe Schoen credit for that. Joe Schoen is going to be the general manager, barring, I think, something unforeseen that comes out over the next 8 weeks. Yell at the clouds, if you will. I don't agree with it. My opinion is I do not agree that Joe Schoen should be back as the general manager of the New York Football Giants. But what I agree with, what Bryce agrees with, what anybody else agrees with is, I mean, it doesn't matter. That just my educated opinion, and read the Schwartz article. That's not out there by mistake. Is Joe, and that's why I'm putting this out there. That is not just Paul Schwartz writing. No. This is enough people are hearing. He is going to be the general manager. Why I brought up John Mara's health. This I don't have concrete, but when the owner, who really is the guy that has to make these changes, is going through much more serious things in life than determining who the general manager of the football team he owns is going through what he's going through, and a family is behind him. Is there really like enough emotional and physical space in the next coming weeks to lead a full-on general manager search? That's where I question it. I don't know. And I don't know how much it plays into it one way or another. And I think I would understand it, which just kind of makes you look back, and it kind of sucks that the Giants didn't just make a full sweeping change last offseason that I didn't want, but many of you did, and you probably will be proved to have been right, and I will have been wrong. But my personal opinion is I believe that at least plays somewhat a part of it. Like, is this team really going to go through that? As a result, ownership and enough people in ownership want a coaching change. That is my educated, I'm putting that in opinion quotes. So much so that if not for others within the Giants stepping in, there was a chance after the Denver game that Brian Daboll was, in fact, going to be fired off the plane. That is how outraged some were after his decision to throw the ball when Jackson Dart got picked, and just the overwhelming collapse that has kind of just led to non-competitive Giant football in back-to-back weeks. But just putting it out there, Brian Daboll is as good as gone, even if I vouch for him, Bryce has vouched for him. So much good as gone is that he was lucky to coach the last 2 weeks, from what I've understand in my educated opinion. So Joe Schoen is going to lead a coaching search this offseason. Again, barring something unforeseen. And that coaching search, when thrown in with the very heavy quotes from John Mara at the time about Daniel Jones, with the team, quote, doing everything they could to screw that kid up. Now take that and think of Jackson Dart. Where does that lie with who the head coach of the team is going to be? My opinion, don't be shocked if a heavy candidate next year is Mike Kafka to be the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And it's out there. I even tweeted this on Sunday. Just look back at this one giant step and remember, where heard you. That is what has gone on with the New York Giants. I also made comments on this podcast, and I made comments on Evan and Tiki when Carl Banks went after Dexter Lawrence and basically said teams don't respect you. My opinion has not changed. I just want to reiterate my opinion. Carl Banks is a good man. He's a good football man. Really nice guy. Carl Banks goes above and beyond. Protecting is the wrong word, but speaking positively and finding the positives in most New York Giant players and people around that organization, so much so that he's willing to fight tooth and nail on Twitter with fans, which is still fun to me. I mean, that's a Giant legend. Carl Banks is not saying that about Dexter Lawrence without something going on behind the scenes with Dexter Lawrence, where Carl's kind of given the wink to that's my educated opinion on it. Do with that what you may. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes with Dexter Lawrence, where it is no secret that he is not dominating, and that's on Dexter Lawrence more than it is the coaching staff and this team. So, Bryce, that is the week that is with the New York. Oh, and I got one more for you. Week that is with the New York Football Giants. This one we found out on Wednesday, but Graham Gano did not practice with now a neck injury. This, I have no rhyme or reason, but it just further illustrates how big a cluster what it is if Joe Schoen is in fact back, which I just told you he will in fact be back, that this team could have saved $3 million in cap space and figured out a kicker situation. They are again fighting an uphill battle with an injured kicker who missed a kick last week. But other than that, how the hell are you, pal?
Dude, I don't know who your sources are, but I'm hearing all the opposite. I'm hearing Brian Dable is going to be back. I'm hearing Joe Schoen is going to get fired. I'm only playing. It's been 10 minutes, and I'm glad I can get some words in here, Shaun. Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought that was important to give our audience.
I get it. No, and I'm sitting here and I'm learning just as the audience is with your expert analysis and your informed opinion, as you said. And I feel like there's going to be plenty of time to debate this and discuss everything.
The Paul Schwartz article is why I felt comfortable saying this, because
it's completely fair. It's completely fair. And I think everyone saw that. And listen, there's obviously a differing of opinions that are going to circulate all over amongst every Giants fan. People want Joe Schoen and Brian Dable gone. This is not a new thing. It's probably been over the course of the last year, maybe even 2 years. I think Joe Schoen has given himself at least a longer leash with how good his drafts have been the last years. And I've said this a multitude of times on this podcast, but that's not the important topic of today. But I kid. I mean, 10 minutes is a long time to sit here and shake my head, but I agree with you. You know what I mean? Like I would have cut you off if I didn't agree with anything you said. But I think we could have that conversation down the line. It's important to say it now, but let's, as much as we can, focus on the week in and week out.
I agree.
But yes, we had to address it. We had to address what we've read the last week in Giants world.
And I guess just my further stamp on that, Bryce, another reason I feel like it should be said here is I'm sure more stories are going to come out as this thing kind of spirals towards an ending here this year.
Listen, dude, this is Pat Leonard's Super Bowl. His next 8 weeks.
Exactly.
Like, we're going to get so many exposés over the next 8 weeks that we can discuss. We can make a podcast out of each of them. You guys want 4 podcasts? You want 5 podcasts a week? We'll give it to you.
It's well said, Bryce, but I wanted to lay that out there because I'm like Carl Banks light in that this is specifically when I'm on my train rides. I reply to a lot of tweets. Some might call it a weakness of mine that I'm answering some of you trolls constantly. I argue a lot of Giants football. It's just in my nature. It's probably why I do 15,000 podcasts now and do radio shows on Giants. Like I can't help myself in arguing back and forth. But all I'm saying is if you were a listener to this podcast and you're somebody who likes like debating on Twitter and social media, you can argue till the cows come home. I think most people would agree that Joe Schoen hasn't done a good enough job, but just understand and just prepare yourself that this is what's going on with the New York Football Giants, and, save your energy for arguments elsewhere, because the argument after the season, once people have their outrage out, as long as you prepare yourself mentally, you'll be able to move on to, well, how the hell can they fix this mess, even with keeping half a mess? And then we will have plenty of podcasts on that.
And when we get to that point, I don't want it to be this case, but we'll be able to say, told you so. Like, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not even doing this for told you so.
We're not going to, but I think that if the majority of the fans kind of adopt the mindset that anything could happen, when I think it's pretty clear with what we're seeing and what we're reading, I think you're just doing yourself a disservice in 3 or 4 months to get all. I mean, I guess, dude, we're only like a month and a half, 2 months away to Brian Dable being fired. Like, I think 2 months to maybe to today. The last week is usually the first week of January. He might be gone by then.
There's something to keep an eye on, Bryce. This is the first time this week that I've thought to myself, maybe he doesn't survive the season, knowing that there was already a chance he was gone by now, as I just said. And the New York Giants are 2 weeks away from cameras being back inside that building for Hard Knocks, because Hard Knocks in season with the NFC East is going to cover the last 6 weeks of this season. I don't know how many Giant fans either knew that and or forgot that, but do you make a move before the Hard Knock cameras get in there? I know you don't want to do things based on a TV show, but I also think the Giants are kind of a special circumstance in that they became the butt of a joke on this same TV show. So just something to keep an eye on.
That's not that far-fetched to say. Like, after they got exposed on that level in front of every NFL fan, they are not trying to do the same thing they did there.
Exactly. And look, you've seen enough comments, and this is where we'll talk about this game here ahead, Bryce. Giants, Bears on Sunday. Brian Burns called it nut-cutting time, and he's tired of hearing about not stopping the run. He's clearly a guy that has a GAS meter, a give a shit meter, where some others may not. Jackson Dart has a high GAS meter. He's still talking about those are the dogs. Those are the true leaders on this team, unlike guys who wear captaincies and drop passes every time they get them thrown to them, and other guys who dog it and don't give it 100% effort if, maybe they don't like their contract. Insert line there. Guys like that. So with this Bears game Sunday here, Bryce, first of all, it's a winnable game for the New York Football Giants. All these games going forward, like at the Lions, I'm going to tell you right now, don't love it. I guess I can make
it. Honestly, I mean, we're going to get to that, but I think this game might be less winnable.
Okay, and I'll get your opinion on that in a second.
I guess more winnable. That makes no sense. More winnable than the Lions game. And based off the knowledge that I have, if you follow the podcast, I work for a Detroit radio station, so I listen to 25 hours a week of Detroit sports talk. They're not doing too well right now. Just saying.
Okay, we could go over a million of those things. If I'm just ranking the amount of games that I think are like truly winnable, I'm probably putting at the top of the list the Raider game and then Washington if they don't have Jaden Daniels. Like those are the two that jumped to the top of my list. The Patriot game is now faded because they're really good. But I do put this Bear game kind of in the next bunch. By no means am I telling you the Giants are winning this game, but my inclination right now as the Giants injury report comes in, it looks like Javon Holland hopefully is back in this game. It looks like Cordell Flott will be back in this game, and boy, is that enormous. I don't like the idea that on Wednesday's injury report, Paulson Adebo is still out. Illuminor, okay, Bo was fine enough. And, I'm just worried about Deonte Banks having to continue to play, but whatever. Like, that is what it is. They didn't move him. Giants stayed tight at the deadline. I don't like the idea of not having Daniel Bellinger because, at this point in the season, I'm fully declaring he is tight end one for me. He has the softest hands on the team.
Yep.
Theo, for every gift he gives you 3 curses back. And I'm not giving up on him as a player, but just Bellinger's the better all-around tight end. They ran less 12 personnel. The injury report is getting better, but it's still not perfect for the Giants in this game. The Chicago Bears are a team that is so up and down. You don't get consistent play from Caleb Williams. He doesn't get sacked a ton. So it'll be interesting to see if this Giant pass rush can, in fact, bring him down. Ben Johnson, is a good offensive play caller. He's going to look at some of the stuff Kyle Shanahan did and try to do it. Manungai, the Rutgers kid, is going to be the running back in this game, and you see if the Giants can handle the run. Loveland came alive as a tight end. But overall, this is a Bears team that's still learning how to win, so to speak. So that's why I call it a winnable game. It's not like they've fully arrived yet on the scene. And they're a defense, frankly, that I think Jackson Dart still could play well in. So, Bryce, before I get to the next kind of part, where do you stand? Now, you brought up the Lions stuff, which we can get to later, but you view this as a little less winnable here.
I look at the Bears right now, and they're finally hitting their stride under Ben Johnson. They're feeling it. Offensively, they put up 47 points last week. They had that insane come from behind victory in the final seconds against the Bengals, and it's the Bengals. I understand putting up 47 points against them isn't a crazy thing. Their defense is atrocious. But I look at a team, I think Ben Johnson is one of the best, if not the best, offensive mind in the NFL. We've seen what Caleb Williams is capable of. Of course, we understand his quirks. We understand that, he plays very loose with the ball and he can make terrible throws and force a lot of different things around the field, but he's coming to his own as well. And I look at this game and I'm like, all right, if the Giants played the Bears earlier on this season, I'd be like, the Giants could win this game. The Bears are hitting their stride right now in an NFC North that, Shaun, is winnable now. It's winnable. They're tied with the Lions at 5-3. Tied with the Lions. There's a lot more to play for. They are playing for, of course, bragging rights to win the division, but dude, they're in the race to be the number 1 seed. Like that's not too far-fetched either. So there's a lot at stake for the Bears right now. And I wouldn't just say this, I think the Bears are going to play well in this game just because there's a lot at stake, because they're looking better. Week in and week out, their defense is still suspect, but offensively, they look really good. They look really good. And then, you look at the Giants defense right now, and what you said about Dexter Lawrence could not be more true. Very concerning. You look at the secondary. Paulson Adebo's out. Guess who's playing, Shaun? Guess who is still playing on an NFL field? It's Deonte Banks. It's Deonte Banks.
Although
you can't trust the defense with him on the field. There's 11 guys out there, and if the one is out there, your defense is a mess automatically. You can take it to the bank. I like the Bears. Something about this team screams we're figuring it out. This is now halfway through the season, and they look better and better each week.
They do.
Is another story. is another story, but it's not like the Giants have a multitude of weapons where they could expose that, the Bears defense. They could score a bunch of points, but if you're telling me you think that the Giants defense is going to stop the Bears offense, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but there are people out there who might be optimistic about what the Giants defense could do against them.
Just remember this about the Bears are coming. The Bears are coming. The Bears are coming. They scored 47 points on a defense that is worse than the New York Giants last week with the Bengals just a week earlier versus a Ravens defense that has been a mess all year. They put up 16 points and lost that game to Snoop Huntley. So that's where look, they beat the Saints. We didn't. We made the mistakes. They barely held on and beat the Raiders. This has not been a great Bear team. So you're right. Like 5-3, they have everything in front of them. And I do agree that last week will tell you like the offense coming along. I think Ben Johnson is a good offensive mind. I'm not denying any of that. But the reason I view this game as winnable is we've talked a lot about the New York Giants being enough in these games and just not figuring out how to win. The Bears have done that more than the Giants. Clearly, they have 5 wins, but they still have not fully arrived yet. Maybe by the end of the year, we'll look back on this and laugh and go, hey, that was the beginning of something, and they stringed it together. But I do still think it is a winnable game, especially if they don't get some of these guys back. So the other part of this that is interesting as it stands right now, we could be getting some snow in the mix on Sunday. Both in Lambeau and both in Chicago, the 2 games on Sunday. Now, right now, because you know how weather is, anybody listening, we get it, right? Weather changes a million times. It does look like most of the snow and wind will exist Sunday morning with this game scheduled for noon Central. That will continue into flurries in the afternoon. Now, we all have lived long enough on Earth. I don't care if you're a 14-year-old kid listening to this or a 64-year-old man listening to this. Weather can change in 2 hours, can change anything. There is a chance we get some snow action on Sunday, which, Bryce, I have to be honest with you. This isn't a take on wins, losses, anything.
Giants are better fit for that game.
Well, that's not even what I'm going with here. Because maybe they're not, because a lot of times they'll tell you, like, the wet fields, the snow fields, it's actually better for the offenses because they know where they're going and the defensive backs slip. And does anyone want to see Deontay Banks slipping? But here is just my baseline opinion. I have become, as I've gotten older, and maybe this has to do with gambling and props and all this, more of I hate when people call games football weather. No. Football weather.
You're so wrong about this. I'm glad you
brought it up.
I finally have a chance to address this on the podcast.
Football weather.
I'm not going to, but this is.
Can I finish?
Stupidest take you've ever had.
Can I make the take?
Fine.
Football weather is autumn. Football weather is 55 to 70 degrees, no hotter. Like those hot games are brutal. The moment you start having to bundle up and you're seeing the breath, that is not football weather. That is a myth.
So is that why you want domes?
I would rather have every stadium be a retractable roof.
It's crazy.
With the idea of wind should not affect games. Like wind gusts over 25 miles an hour, shut it down. Roof goes over. You can't have like that one game when the field goal post and the Bills-Patriot game was blowing all over the place was ridiculous. That's not football weather. Like that's ridiculous. That outcomes of games are determined like that. A little snow. Now, that game where the famous Lions-Eagles game when they basically playing in a foot of snow, while it would look really good on TV, I'm not gonna lie. I love snow games on TV because they eclectically look good. But if we're being real, it's not real football weather. I say this to say the Giants are 2-7. Wins and losses truly don't matter. I want Jackson Dart to win games for his own confidence, but they truly don't matter. The coach is clearly fired. They truly, at their heart, don't matter. Give me a wacky snow game. Make me entertained.
Okay, yes.
It's not football weather, and I would tell you this. If the Giants were 5-3 like the Bears, I'd be going, here we go with the stupid weather could affect every game. So I want to make sure that I'm being a hypocrite here. If the game mattered for the Giants, the weather, if it was extreme winds and snow, would annoy me. And I know both teams are playing with that's not football weather. But the truth is, when you're 2-7 and the coach is getting fired, I'm down to be entertained and be a sucker.
I want some fun.
Give me some fun.
100%.
Give me some fun. So I'll be into that. Now, you mentioned, again, I've learned, because I used to be like you. It makes it defense. You want to run the ball. And it ends up being defensive backs fall because receivers know where to run. Also,
Caleb Williams, where did you play? Where did you play at school?
USC.
Where did Caleb Williams play? Oh.
I don't. Now, here's what I don't know. Where did Caleb Williams grow up? Because the important thing is Jackson Dart played at Ole Miss and USC, but Jackson Dart grew up in Utah, and he commented on this on Wednesday that he's played in plenty of snow games growing up.
DC.
Okay,
so grow up in DC, but
Bryce.
He didn't grow up in Detroit. He didn't grow up in
but it still gets
Minnesota.
cold in DC. It snowed plenty in DC.
Snow versus cold, different.
Both quarterbacks played at colleges where they never saw snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what
both quarterbacks grew up in cold weather. Makes them fun. So that's where I'm at.
How was Caleb Williams at the end of last season? Not very good.
All right. So we'll see what happens. That leads us in to our fantasy versus reality segment here. Good podcast here, Bryce. We're humming along. Fantasy, reality. I'm going to promise you this, Bryce. I'm not picking Theo Johnson, nor am I picking Darius Slayton. And frankly, I would not feel comfortable picking them for the rest of the season until
you had Ray McLeod last week. I'm pretty sure.
Wrong read, by the way. Where was he involved in the offense?
I had Dart. I'm just saying, my picks, the game picks have been so off.
Let's be real.
But I picked him. But
I omit picking quarterbacks. I omit picking quarterbacks because
I said he was going to have a good game. Did he have a good game or not?
Yeah. I mean, his first half was a little overrated, but yeah, you got to cook in the fourth quarter. But
I'm 29 fantasy points.
I'm omitting Slayton and Theo. That's what I'm coming back to. Those guys dropping. I've had enough. I don't tolerate drop passes anymore. I've realized now, after the Evan Ingram stuff where I gave him a hard time, I'm done giving guys passes when they drop multiple passes every week. To me, you have one job to do, help your quarterback out. I'm over those guys. I'm not taking them. Tyrone Tracy, I noticed this at the game on Sunday, and I went back and rewatched, and you could not pick up on it. He is not healthy. That shoulder, every time he comes back to the sideline, I see him grabbing it on Sunday from my seats. They're not showing it on TV, which tells me he is I like Tyrone Tracy. I actually think he's a lot tougher than we give him credit for. He is not complaining. I think he's just being an old school football player that is trying to play through injury, and it's clearly affecting him. He is not the player he was last year. I think he's clearly hurt, and I saw that Sunday. So I'm off Tyrone Tracy this week. You know what I think has actually looked pretty good the last couple of weeks?
Singletary.
Devin Singletary. We wrote this guy off last year, and he had some horrible fumbles. Distant running back 3, returning kicks at the end of the year. I think that as the weather gets colder here, if Tracy's shoulder still doesn't, I think Devin Singletary, for at least the rest of this season, has a role in this football team, and he looks more fluid than he did a year ago. I think Devin Singletary finds his way into the end zone on Sunday. I think Devin Singletary takes some goal line possessions. I think this team has run the ball well. I think Chicago can get run on a bit. Devin Singletary is my fantasy play. Now, the reality of the game, how the New York Giants go win the game. I think it's pretty simple, man. As bad and as pathetic as this run defense has been this year, and really how bad the defense has been since Holland and Adebo left, and especially Flott and last week as well. And that matters with the run game. They do appear to be getting Javon Holland back, which will lead Dane Belton to more of his hybrid role. That's going to help a little bit. The last 2 weeks, they played two teams that were really bad at running the football before they came into the game with the Giants. But if we're also being real, that's where reading stats is stupid. They were two teams that featured two of the top 5 running backs in the league in Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey. Now, you still got to go out there and stop a run game. It's not excusing the New York Giants. But as good as Kyle Monunga has been here, kind of emerging for the Bears, he's not Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. So the reality of the game is we know the Giants are going to get gashed on the run at times, but you can't allow multiple over 12-yard runs like that, like the Giants did, where your will gets broken. Make some stuffs on the run early, give the defense some confidence so we don't see some quitting, and force Caleb Williams into a turnover or two. I really think it's that simple. I don't think I'm splitting the atom here with reality. The reality of the game is I am confident once again, the New York Giants are going to find their way to 24-plus points. Jackson Dart's that good. It's too many weeks in a row now, even without weapons, where they figure it out. Even in garbage time, okay, they get points, yada. They're going to score in this game. I think they will. I think they'll dip the magic number for the Giants. I think they'll get to 24. You have to get Caleb Williams to turn the ball over, and you have to not allow 200 yards on the ground. It's a bland reality, but it is the reality of how the Giants can win the game. So fantasy pick Devin Singletary. My reality is there. Bryce, you have a fantasy versus reality, and then please give us Bryce Is Right before we close with our game picks.
Very long-winded today, Shaun. This is kind of like a deviation from. I like it. Listen, I don't hate it. I like it. My fantasy pick is Wan'Dale Robinson. I look at it at a potential snow game. Shaun, there's going to be a lot of dink and dunk passes. There's going to be a lot of 5 yard here, 5 yards here. And unfortunately, Wan'Dale Robinson earlier on in the season, especially like middle weeks and, the past few weeks, dude, he's turned back to what he was last year. He's reverted back to Wan'Dale Robinson that we expect, the 5-6 yarders. He's averaging 7-8 yards per catch. It's going to continue. He's going to have a plethora of catches in this game. Again, especially if it's a snow game. I just like the idea, whatever his receptions are, take the over. I like that a lot. Jackson, he's going to throw him the ball a lot. Now, for the reality of the game, and you kind of hit on a bunch of points that I wanted to discuss, and that's, obviously, and I'm going to get to this, and Bryce is right. I'm just getting ahead of myself here because you want me to go right into it. But I look at the Bears, and they've, as you said, been able to run the ball extremely well. And, you did mention Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey, and I understand that. And this is different. Monangai, who had a really good week, 174 yards on the ground last week, or whatever, 176. DeAndre Swift was out. It looks like he's going to be back. And both these guys now like two-headed snake. Like Ben Johnson now trusts Monangai. And is this a potential Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery situation? Question mark? Could it be? I mean, obviously, Swift is nowhere near as talented as Gibbs is, but you catch my drift, right? Like Sonic and Knuckles. I just cannot see the Giants stopping the run. Like, I can't. It's almost like, when you play a basketball team, there's one guy who's really good. You want everyone else to beat you, right? You want to stop that one guy, and everyone else is going to beat you. Stop Caleb Williams, and that's all that matters. Stop Caleb Williams. If they run for 200 yards, so be it. I think you'll still win the game, especially in that type of situation. In the snow, all you got to do is stop Caleb Williams. To your credit, force a turnover or two. Just get him off of his game. As I said, he's starting to come more and more into his own. You mentioned the Ravens game where they only put up 16 points. You also, admitted the fact that the Ravens got back, their best defensive players in Van Noy and Roquan, who finally have gotten back into the swing of things. Ravens defense has looked better. So I understand.
They still haven't had BK. Like
historically this season, they've been shoddy. I get it. Okay.
It's been more than the injuries
Ravens.
with them.
It's okay, but it's not the Ravens of the first, 6-7 weeks of the season. They've been better. So forced turnovers, the run is going to be the run. And now leading me into this, Bryce is right. So Bryce was wrong last week. If you missed it, really wrong. I said Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence would each have a sack, and I will never have any bold predictions when it comes to Dexter Lawrence again, and for good reason. But for this week's Bryce is right. You look at the Bears over the last 3 weeks, Shaun. You know how many yards they're averaging on the ground per week? The last 3 weeks.
I don't.
200.
200.
200 yards in the ground. And now they are number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards.
I didn't realize they gotten that high. I knew Monungai's game last week, but okay.
He had 170, whatever. It was 174, 176. Shaun, I hate to do this. And originally, it was going to be a more exorbitant, value of yards. But Shaun, I think that the Bears are going to run for 225 or more yards in this game. I think they're going to pound the Giants in the run. I don't think that all of this vitriol, I wouldn't say vitriol, but all of this negative news is going to help the Giants at all. Like, I'm not saying that these negative reports are going to impact the play on the field, but they're not going to help, right? And the Giants have been putrid against the run. So what makes me think it's going to be any different against the Bears? Like, you get Javon Holland back. Is he going to stop the run?
Flott's a big deal. Flott's a big deal.
Yes, of course. Flott is I love Cordell.
Flott's very good.
Talk about him all the time. Yes, he is. Again, they've run for 200 yards per game over the last 3 weeks. Like, you can't, one way or the other, you got to address it. And it's something it's gonna give the Giants fits in this game. And again, especially if it's a snow game, they're gonna have a difficult time stopping it when it's not. I guess would the snow make it easier to stop the run? I don't know, because you kind of know what's happening, but at the same time, as you said, defensive backs slip, and again, I don't trust Dexter Lawrence up the middle anymore. Unfortunately, how far the mighty have fallen. But yeah, that's my Bryce is right. Let's see if listen, I don't want this to happen. It's not always going to be a pro Giants or a pro other team. It could be either or every week. And as I said to you last week, it's just going to get crazier and crazier if the Giants continue to lose games. So pretty reasonable this week. I think it's going to happen. But let's do game pick. Shaun, so you are 4-5. I'm now 3-6. Unfortunate result for me. And unfortunate result for Giants fans. You got that right. So here we are. You want to kick us off? You want me to start, and you can finish it off.
Okay, sure. That's cool. That's a different path. Let's go.
All right. So the last I checked, the line is 4.5. I don't know
it
if
is.
that's
what I was just doing
gambler.
As we're finishing.
Okay. I know you're a big bet guy.
And it's juice to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I last week I think it was the opposite, right? And
yes.
I went against that, and I took the
Correct.
Giants. And of course, you saw how that went. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go against the grain here. I just, bro. I mean, I've seen this Giants team. We've watched them intently. Do you really think they're going to keep this game close? Like, I can't see it. I cannot foresee the Giants doing enough offensively to stop what the Bears are going to do to the Giants defense. The Giants will score in this game. The Bears defense isn't amazing. 42 points from Joe Flacco last week. And listen, Joe Flacco's been a really solid player, but he's Joe Flacco. He's in his 40s. I look at the Bears and I just, again, as I said, the offense looks a lot better. Ben Johnson, as this season goes on, they're going to get better and better and better. And they're going to build off what they did last week and scoring 47 points. I have the Giants losing 31-20. I think the Bears are going to put up the points. And here's the thing about the snow. I guess it's, flurries are not snow. I'm sorry, but snow is snow. Flurries, it's not going to stick to the ground. So it's not going to be that big of an impediment on the players and on the play calling and yada, yada, yada. So I think the Bears still score a lot of points. If there's crazy snow, then I wish I could amend that pick. But this is just going off what I know right now, what I've seen, and just what I think is going to happen. 31-20 Bears. That's what I have.
Okay. So a few things to note. The Bears last week lost their best pass rusher for the season. They went out and make a trade as well. Bryce, it doesn't make any sense. My gut, I think the Giants are going to win the game. I do. I thought they would lose last week. I was honest about that. My gut is, and this is football, right? Everything starts, thrown at you. And remember, even in the lost seasons the last couple of years, the Giants beating the Colts last year made no sense. A couple of years ago, and that was the DeVito run. But even when they come back, a DeVito run ends, they lose those 3 games in a row. They had no reason to beat an Eagle team that was playing for everything that last week. They beat the Eagles. Maybe the magic number's 3, maybe the magic is number 4, maybe the magic number's 5. The Giants, I think, have a win 2 or 3 left in them this year. And the schedule's still really tough. This isn't a X's and O's pick. It's just my guttural instinct tells me the Bears are not consistent week to week. And I think that their defense can be taken advantage of. And I think Jackson Dart's got a lot of guts in him. And I was actually very pleased with Jackson Dart last week without Cam Scatterbo going out there and just willing the team finding a way. Now, guys have to make plays for him. I think that this is a defense that is now for 2 straight weeks heard about how terrible they are. Is getting 2 important players back. You can poo-poo it all you want, but this is the problem with the Giants every year. The moment they lose guys at a position, their depth sucks and their depth gets exposed. So getting Flott and Holland back, I actually think is a bigger deal than people are just going to brush off and assume. I mean, they have been suffering without those guys, especially since Flott got hurt, which was the final stone that needed to break during that Eagle game. Will it be easy? But I mean, no, the Giants don't win games easy. What are you out of your mind? I mean, I guess they won that Eagle game easy. But I do think that Jackson Dart is going to have a moment in this fourth quarter. He's going to will him a bit. And I think that the Bears at times are going to be frustratingly settling for field goals or field goal attempts, maybe even miss one. And I think the Giants could even get in the end zone on defense where the whole team goes nuts and celebrates. So I'm going to go a little off script here. Giants are going to miss an extra point. Go for 2, screw this up. It'll be full of Giants bingo. I'm going to take the Giants to beat the Chicago Bears on Sunday, 29-23. And I'll take the points, obviously, but I think they win outright. And this is after I just started this podcast with 10 minutes.
I was just going to say, how
you know what? It's
we
football,
start
man.
with that and end with that.
All I could do, Bryce, and this isn't even like a pom-pom waving thing. It's just what my gut tells me. I never felt good about the game last week. I didn't feel good about beating the Eagles a second time 2 weeks ago, but I could see myself talking myself into it. I ironically did feel good about the Denver game, and I had the right read on that game until everything fell apart late. My read on this game is just This is typical. Everybody now will start fading the Giants. Everybody will. They're getting 4.5 in the game. It's juiced to that for a reason. And I do think that they have a guy on each side of the ball who are the true leaders of this team, and Jackson Dart and Brian Burns, who are going to show up and show a little pride and call a bunch of teammates out this week. And I think they have a moment or two. And I also think it just plays into the hands of this is as much an antitrust of the Bears pick as it is just, hey, I think the Giants have a weak pick also, if that makes sense. And you laid out all the reasons why you're pro-Bear this week. I've laid out reasons why I am. So it's an anti-Bear pick. Giants 23, Giants 29, Bears 23. All right, Bryce. Another good preview pod out of us. Jack full of information.
We just went 40 minutes. The Giants are 2-7. That's impressive.
Yeah,
that's impressive. We're gonna have a lot more to talk about again with all these exposés from Pat Leonard. So that'll be fun.
We'll see. All right, we'll be back to recap the pod. I am going to be home on Sunday. Some point Sunday night, we'll crank one out, as the kids like to say. Or
don't say that.
Yeah,
don't say that.
We'll just do a podcast. How about that? I'm aware of what I just said. Okay, well, thanks for taking one giant step with us.